Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France, of course. You good old boys in Canada, we love you in Africa, the Big C tribe. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful April the 19th, 2019, Rondo Deportes, Big C. How's it going for you good old boys down south?
Charlton, I'm tired of the rain. You know, we got 6 to 8 inches of rain down here last night. We've caught the brunt of this spring storm rolling through the south that has caused so much havoc. But looking at Good Friday, Charlton, it's been a blessed day to be around. But also I want to give out thoughts and prayers because tomorrow, Charlton, marks the 20th anniversary of the Columbine school massacre in Colorado. Charlton, this is something that has become too common in today's age. You know, these incidents that have occurred at schools across our great nation.
Yeah.
And I want that Americans to think about that as we're thinking about all of what's good in life, Charlton. Those 12 young people who lost their lives along with a teacher on that horrid day, Charlton, 20 years ago tomorrow. And that you never know what would have come out of that, Charlton, whether it had been professional athletes or anything along that line. And the teacher who lost his life, Charlton, was a coach who mentored so many young athletes there at Columbine High.
Yeah.
So as America looks at Good Friday and Passover and Easter Sunday, Charlton, think about those who are no longer with us, Charlton, because of the unnecessary violence that has gone on in our country, and that politicians feel that it's okay to happen because we don't have any gun laws passed, Charlton, that will ban assault weapons.
Yeah, and hopefully we can all, by talking about things, we can put our minds to it, thoughts and prayers with everybody on this beautiful, happy Friday. Also, you know, we have Easter coming up over the weekend on Sunday, so we call it Good Friday. And we hope that everything is good in the lives of everybody. Reach out to people that maybe don't have anyone reaching out to them. Let them know how you feel about them, especially with Easter coming up. A lot of good things happening in the sports universe, especially NBA basketball is fantastic. I heard about that from back in the day. Major League Baseball taking a back seat to the NHL playoffs. There's a lot of good stuff going on in the sports universe. And I also want to say for everything has a start. It has a seed. And when you plant seeds, often you get a harvest. I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you, as well as a host of Cadillac cars. I also want to bring attention as far as following Big C Sports all over the universe. Of course, we're available on the iHeartRadio Podcast Network. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Also coming to the Xfinity Comcast, you'll be able to find the Big C Sports page and follow the show. All of our shows Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock p.m., but also heard 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we thank you for giving us a chance to come onto that platform, growing by leaps and bounds. I just want to say I'm very grateful for Easter. And I know everybody has their own religious beliefs. We just had the fire at Notre Dame Cathedral over in France, and a lot of people have poured on over $1 million in contribution. And so we just hope that there's a lot of churches all over this country. They're not that opulent. They don't have the stained glass. They haven't existed for over 800 years. Sometimes it's just a storefront church, but they're still trying to bring people to Christ. And no matter what your belief is, everybody needs hope, and I hope that we can have a lot of hope on this beautiful Easter coming up, Big C. Your thoughts, anything on Easter? I know you're probably planning, let me just guess, you're cooking some ham. You probably got a couple of Easter eggs that out in the grass, Big C. Anything special to drink for Easter, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, the thing that I missed most about Easter is when I was little and being able to go out and the Easter egg hunt.
Yep.
But you had to make sure you got those eggs early, Charlton. You didn't want them to get warm out there in the sun.
Yep.
And that's, I think, as a child, that's always your earliest and most fondest memory of Easter. But as you grow up, Charlton, and you get the understanding, the meaning of Easter, Charlton, about the birth of Christ, and the resurrection.
Yeah.
You know, how much it means to the world, regardless of your religious belief, Charlton.
Yeah.
Everybody has something that they hold on to.
Yeah.
That is sacred. that you have to get you through every day's plight. You know, I always think about when people think about what they look forward to, Charlton.
Yeah.
The thing that I look forward to and I'm the most thankful for every day, which is my greatest accomplishment, is to wake up in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
And most people take that for granted, Charlton.
Yeah.
But whatever you accomplish during the day, you're not able to accomplish that without waking up first.
Yeah.
And that is the number one thing that people need to feel thankful for.
Yeah.
Is waking up in the morning, because it gives you an opportunity to get through your day, to accomplish something, to give prayer, to give thanks, Charlton.
Yeah.
And to be thankful to have everybody in your family around you.
Yeah, that is so important. And I know as a lot of athletes, oftentimes they want to thank God, especially a lot of Black American athletes. They thank God for the touchdown or the home run or the winning the game, and they thank their mothers. And also for everybody on the sports show, people say, well, religion and sports don't mix. I mean, dumb people say a lot of things, but for intelligent people, it all mixes. It depends on what your brain can comprehend.
Well, Charlton, if sports and religion doesn't mix, why is there always prayer?
Yeah.
I know as an athlete, when I was in college, even back to high school, and especially on the professional ranks, Charlton, we always had prayer in the locker room prior to going out on the field for battle.
That's right.
Hoping for the best to keep each other safe and have a good performance. We gave thanks, Charlton, prior to going out on the playing surfaces in all the sports I ever played in my lifetime.
Yeah.
So when people want to say that things don't mix, Charlton, I dare the person who's on television that says those things, or even in radio, to say that they don't have a belief in a higher power, Charlton.
They also have atheists. So we know atheists also exist. But for people who are Christian, the resurrection is considered the third day before Christ arose. We talked about the crucifixion. You hear that in biblical teachings. It's about the resurrection of Christ, but we consider it's like a holiday. America seems like a day to go out and buy chocolate. You can always buy all the chocolate you want, but still for those who have a great faith, we love saying on the Big C Sports Show, we pray to God all the time, and everybody has their own beliefs. I don't believe in praying to atheists, so I'll never buy that line that don't talk about God. But everybody has their own opinion. I do want to say a lot of guys around the NBA, they've been praying about a lot of things, and especially when you look at what happens in the sports world. Before we even get into sports, I want to pay homage to something that happened on this date in Black history, April 19th, 1837. Cheney State University of Pennsylvania, it was founded. You know, it's one of the oldest colleges in the United States of America for black males. On this date, 182 years ago. And so for even a lot of our black brethren that are on programs and they're afraid to talk about their faith in God, but they'll say what the atheists want them to say, there was a school founded for black men primarily because mainstream wouldn't let us in. But everybody knows somebody had to pave that road for you. Big C, were you aware of Cheney State University, founded 1837? That's a long time ago, Big C. Your thoughts?
Yes, I am, Charlton. I'm very well aware of it. But I wonder if Congressman King from Iowa is aware of that, Charlton.
No,
he's one of the third, backers of the president. To saying that black people in America have never contributed anything to American society. And you think about Cheney State, 1837, Charlton.
Yeah.
One of the oldest universities in America, period.
Yeah.
Not just African-American males, but period, in America. So when you think about how intelligent and prescient that African-Americans were, Charlton, this is less than 100 years after the Civil War, after emancipation.
Yeah.
When you think about that black people were knowledgeable enough to build their own university and advance secondary education, Charlton, on the collegiate level. So, you look at the advancements of black people in America. You think in the first university for blacks only 182 years ago.
Well,
and you look at how black America has competed against white society. Not just on the athletic field, but in the academic field, Charlton, in the business world. And we've really only had 182 years of this, not 500 years of it, 182 years of it. So if we're allowed to advance at that rate that it's been going, Think about where black society would be if there were not for voter oppression and things of that nature in Charleston, and racism.
Yeah, that's also true, Big C. Even Timbuktu University in Africa, education is important. I mean, you have to look at about all the advances we've had in the United States of America, and everybody knows it's about opportunity. And what I think I love about Big C Sports, in fact, we're on so many platforms. There was a time that we were not. Everything has a process. It's a process. Like you plant seeds in the ground, and they grow, and then you get the harvest. Now, there are a lot of people along the way that will say, oh, you're never going to make it, or who are you to try? And you know, whatever you're doing, try it this way, try it that way. I learned from a lot of people a long time ago, especially my parents, and my father was always saying this, don't take everybody's advice. Don't take their opinion. Everybody's got one. But if their opinion was so good, they would be doing what they're telling you what you can do. I just want to say that to all the young people that want to aspire to something, whether you have this belief or not. I think, and I can't preach to anybody, but I think if more men had Christ in their lives, maybe there'd be fewer people in jail. I think that's true. That's my own opinion. I would hope that fathers would reach out to their kids. But see, I want to touch on something with the NBA. This is a fabulous game. But at some time, it seems like there's too many good games on to watch it. I know that you're a big proponent of gumbo. You good old boys down south. You love your gumbo. You toss all the good stuff in. What's in the good gumbo? You have some shrimp. You have some okra. I hear you have some cauliflower, some rice, some beans. What else am I missing from a good gumbo? Big C, your thoughts?
You can't forget the soft shell crab that's up in that Charleston,
Okay.
the andouille sausage. I mean, we can get serious, but we don't have time to put that recipe on the air.
See, Christ would have loved some gumbo from Big C's restaurants down south, Big C. Ben Simmons, I mean, there's so many good games on. I wish they could break them up. It's like one game doesn't end before the next one starts. Ben Simmons last night had a monster game, playing in the low post. Joel Embiid out of the game. 31 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists. The 76ers took down the Nets 131-115. Now, and that game was played in Brooklyn, so you know they may have the home crowd against them. There's something about a low post play when you got a guy like Simmons, and I think these young kids, they're learning that you don't have to be Steph Curry to be dominant. Everybody started shooting threes in the last probably 5 to 7 years, but you can make a big living down in the post. Big, so your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, we haven't seen a game like that in the playoffs since Magic Johnson for the Los Angeles Lakers did it as a rookie against the Philadelphia 76ers when Kareem was out of the game with an eye injury.
Yeah.
Where he went down and dominated the game, scoring 42 points, Charlton.
Yeah.
But Ben Simmons is one of those great players who does not have an outside shot. And this game really awoke him far as what his most dominant position is in the NBA, is that's going down low and play.
Yeah.
And this is something that the Sixers are going to have to look forward to in their future, Charlton. Do they go out and get a point guard and put Ben Simmons down on the blocks in that 4 position, Charlton, where he can dominate inside with his athleticism?
Yeah.
But this is a tremendous game for the NBA. I don't know how far the Sixers can go without Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
He's been struggling with a knee injury, Charlton.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons, I don't know if he can take the load for another series playing down on the blocks because he's so used to playing outside. But it showed the versatility of this Philadelphia lineup and Coach Brett Brown recognizing to put his players in the best place.
Yeah, well, I've got to get your feeling on something because I know you saw a lot of the old-timers play. I saw mostly the three-point era and really started following basketball right around the days of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird when they had that big game. I remember I used to watch the March Madness. The championship game used to be played at midnight, I think. I know the NBA was also the same, but you've seen a lot of guys, even before they had TV programs and everybody was on TV every night. But with seeing the way Simmons dominated last night, and I know the young kids now, their emphasis is, I got to have a three-point game. I got to shoot the three-point shot. But I've heard so many Hall of Famers talk over the years. The way you get your 3 points is you muscle up, you pound the ball inside, and you're going to get the basket and the foul. Plus, you get the defensive guy in foul trouble. Why is that missing on the young generation, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you look at a lot of the early NBA scoring records, they were all made without a three-point basket.
That's right.
You know, one of the greatest challenges for the scoring title, Charlton, came between David Thompson and George Gervin.
Yeah.
When on the final night of the NBA season that, you know, David Thompson went out and scored 73 points, and followed by George Gervin with 72 or 62 points to win the scoring title. George Gervin needed to score to 62.
Yeah.
And a three-point basket did not exist. So when we get players that rave now because Kobe scored 60 points in his final game, we get James Harden scoring 54 points and 50 multiple-point games as well as Steph Curry. They have three-point shots to their advantage, Charlton.
Yeah.
The fundamentals of NBA basketball and college basketball are gone by the wayside. You have to watch the women's game to see fundamental basketball.
Yep.
Players now, as you say, want to settle for the three-point shot. When you get the highlight shows and they rave about somebody setting a three-point record in a game, the most three-pointers made or the most three-pointers taken or the most three-pointers missed, you never see a highlight show, Charlton, where they just want to show basic layups.
Yeah.
They say that doesn't excite people. Yes, it does. It excites a basketball coach because he can take that back and show the fundamentals to the young players that are trying to learn the game.
Yeah.
Instead of everybody settling for a three-point shot or even a dunk shot, Charlton.
Yeah, and it also helps them keep their job. And I know that's one thing that you love. I mean, for a big guy, I saw over the holiday season, my son was watching something on the big guys that were playing down in the post, and it was not real competition, but it was what guys do in practice. And I know back in the day, Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon used to have some type of a camp where he would invite the good players to come down there and get better. And I remember seeing that. And watching Simmons do his thing last night, maybe he saw that same program, but another guy that can dominate if they stop thinking about being three-point experts like a Steph Curry, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you get. Out on the West Coast, Kevin Durant, remember he told the media, you know who I am? And a lot of people said, oh, he's just being braggadocious. He actually had to tell his coach, Coach Kerr, do you know who I am? Now, I know in Golden State they want to share the ball to everybody, but there comes a time when you find the best guy on your team, and you got to let him dominate. I thought Durant did that last night. He came out with 38 points. He dropped 38 points against the Clippers, and he still had Thompson and Curry to shoot the ball to. He had 4 rebounds, 7 assists in the blowout win, 132-105 over the Clippers. But what I noticed more about Durant, he seemed to be less willing to pass the ball last night, and that shows how dominant he can be. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I think we had discussed that in the previous show, Charlton, about how Kevin Durant needs to take control of the ball.
Yeah.
He needs to get the ball in a position where he can dominate. If you think about the first 2 games of the series, he only took 13 shots in each one of those games.
That's not enough.
That's how many shots he needs to make in a game. Minimal is 13.
Yeah.
For him to be the dominant player that he is. You take the media for say where they want to bash the guy. They were bashing Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant sent a message through the media to his coach.
Yeah.
You know who I am. You know I need the ball in my hand in a position where I can dominate.
Yeah.
And so Kevin Durant was able to take 27 shots in last night's performance. And you saw the different outcome for the Warriors is that he was able to take 27 shots, hit his point, dominate the Clippers, put them on their heels, not him be on his heels.
Yeah.
The Clippers were on their heels.
Yeah.
And this is what you have to understand when you have a superstar athlete and the ball goes through him.
Yeah.
We don't have LeBron James in the playoffs this year, and the playoffs are somewhat kind of boring without LeBron because we're so accustomed to him being around.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant is the guy this year that the ball needs to go through. Everyone can talk about James Harden, but the ball must pass through Kevin Durant because he is the one unstoppable offensive player in all of the NBA right now.
Yeah, and even with that, Steph Curry was shooting the lights out last night. One thing I love about Curry, I not only love it on my food, I love him as a basketball player. Even my last name, so a lot of Currys running around, Big C. But you notice how when he's not the top dog, there's no complaints, there's no give me the ball. He just fits into his role, and he's a great player, maybe the best shooter we've ever seen. Big C, numbers don't lie. But the thing that also Kerr could probably recognize, and people might say, who are we to give Coach Kerr any type of tutelage? Kevin Durant kind of said it, but without saying it. They know who I am. You guys know who I am. But he was. What do they call that thing they put in your car when they give you 500 horsepower? They tell you 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, but they put a governor on your gas pedal. He doesn't need the governor on his shot if the Warriors want to win another title. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, what I saw from Kevin Durant last night, and even in that previous day press conference, is that he was auditioning for a new contract.
Yeah.
He's not planning on leaving Golden State. You know who I am. He was telling that to management. He was telling that to the head coach and the rest of his teammates.
Yeah.
You know who I am. I am the straw that is stirring this drink right now in Golden State.
Yeah.
Keep me happy, and I'll lead you to the promised land once again for that trifecta of championships.
Yeah.
And I think he served notice to the rest of the league last night and all our brethren out there in the media. Sit back in your seat and be quiet and watch the show.
Welcome to the show, as I hear a lot of people saying. So congratulations, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. You look at Andre Iguodala, Draymond Green. They don't need Marcus Cousins. I know people might say, well, they need that big guy down inside. But a real player has to be who he is. And quit trying to make room for everybody. You ever try to put, 5 people in a car that has 4 seats? So they're trying to put that kid on the console. If you got a car built for 5, sometimes you're trying to squeeze in 6 people. It doesn't always fit because you're trying to be nice. It might be the best thing for Golden State that Boogie Cousins is not in the game. I'm not being flippant about that. Because if he's not in the game, you're not drawing a lot of plays to go to him, Big C. Just any thought on that, or is that wrong thinking? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I think that he slowed down the offense in ways. He was a great guy to have because you look at some of the big men that the Golden State Warriors can potentially face in the playoffs.
Yeah.
In Houston, you have Quinn Capella. They don't have an answer for him right now in Golden State. I don't know if Bogut can play enough minutes to offset what Capella could do.
Yeah.
You look at Embiid, if he's healthy in Philadelphia, if it comes down to that. They don't have a matchup for Embiid physically. I mean, Looney's okay, but can he go out and play 40 minutes, even 35 minutes against Embiid?
Yeah.
Look at Milwaukee when they come to town. There's some big bodies in Milwaukee. They have three guys on the front line that are at least 6'11".
Yeah.
So there can be some challenges for Golden State this year where you haven't seen them before.
Yeah.
They're not going to be facing Cleveland if they get to the finals, where you only had to worry about Tristan Thompson,
Yeah.
who really wasn't an offensive weapon.
Well, that's a very good point, too. 3 championships in 4 seasons. They may not need Cousins to slow it down. The Ferrari runs better when you have it on the wide open roads, Big C. One of the greatest, they should put a statue of this guy, not only outside of the stadium down there in Texas and San Antonio, but Coach Pop maybe needs to be on the magazine or whatever they use to show the NBA around the world, to grow the NBA around the world as consistency. Coach Pop, he knows how to get the most out of players. When you assemble a roster, Derek White, who was a non-recruited basketball player, people may not know that, out of high school, he led the way. Now, when have anyone heard of Derek White? 36 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. The Spurs beat the Nuggets 118-108. Now, it was more than a win because the Nuggets at one time were called the best team in basketball by many pundits out there who changed lanes like you do in that Ferrari, Big C. But how can you get a guy that nobody knows to drop 36 points, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, when you look at the development of the San Antonio Spurs under Greg Popovich since he's been there, Charlton, he started with one big-name player. That was David Robertson. David Robertson wasn't even a highly recruited player out of high school. He ended up at the Naval Academy. He just happened to grow and develop while he was there.
Yeah.
And he became the number 1 pick overall by San Antonio.
Yeah.
That built the foundation. And I think that's what Pop looked at since he's been building this organization, Charlton, over the last 21 years throughout the playoffs. You look at Manu Ginobili, came in out of Italy. You think about Tony Parker out of France. Even Tim Duncan was not a highly recruited athlete out of the Virgin Islands when he came to college in the U.S.
Yeah.
And throughout his time there, even Kawhi Leonard, Johnson, who knew who Kawhi Leonard was when he was at San Diego?
Yeah.
People were like, why are they taking this guy?
Right.
Over the time, what Popovich has done is he has not gone out and drafted or recruited egotistical players. That has been the problem of a lot of organizations in the NBA when you look at egos and why the teams is falling apart.
Yeah.
Take Oklahoma City for example.
Yep.
You had James Harden, you had Kevin Durant, you had Russell Westbrook, you had Serge Ibaka.
Yeah.
You know, they lost but they lost James Harden over $4 million. You think about that.
Jump change.
$4 million difference in a contract.
Yeah.
So you got the ego of the organization and you got the ego of the players. Think about where they would be if you didn't have such a tight-fisted owner in OKC is that
Yeah.
you would have Kevin Durant, James Harden,
Yep.
Russell Westbrook, and Serge Ibaka still there.
Yeah.
Possibly being the Golden State Warriors of the West right now in Oklahoma City.
Isn't that
But
amazing?
when you look at Popovich, and he's brought in this montage of players out of Australia, out of Italy, out of France,
Yeah.
out of the Virgin Islands, and small schools out of the U.S., Charles.
Yeah.
And they've all come together because they were the ones that were overlooked.
Yep.
And so by them being overlooked, and they were willing to take what Pop had to give them
Yeah.
as far as the knowledge of the game, this is why you've always seen the success of the San Antonio Spurs for the last 21 years. Compare that to a team like the Los Angeles Lakers, where everybody wants to say that LeBron James is the problem with the Lakers.
Yeah.
Well, they had made the playoffs for 5 years prior to LeBron James showing up.
So it's not his fault. it can't be his fault. It's amazing when you get the best player in the world, as people keep saying the best in the world. We can say that, best in the world of our age. But if you're not in the playoffs, it's missing though. It's missing because you don't hear him and you don't see him and how dominant he is. That's missing. And I would hope that we could get that back, someday. And speaking of missing, before I cover a couple of games tonight and want to get your thoughts, would you believe when Tyronn Lue was the coach for Cleveland, that's when LeBron James won his championship. Tyronn Lue is still without a job. He has the third best winning percentage of any NBA coach that has coached at least 50 playoff games, trailing only Steve Kerr and Phil Jackson. And people, he's still not hired, Big C. I don't even think people know that, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, in this past offseason, how many white coaches got a job?
A lot.
That didn't have a winning record, that had never won a championship, that's never been in the championship round.
Yeah.
Tyronn Lue spent 3 consecutive years there in the NBA Finals.
Yep.
And never got credit for it.
Yeah.
So when you look at what you're looking for in running an organization, and I know there's been a lot of talk with the Lakers that say, well, they should go out and get Pat Riley. Pat Riley is not leaving Miami. Pat Riley is the wrong guy to try to put behind the bench in an NBA team. Even though he has history with the Lakers,
Yeah.
he's not going to California and get an increase in millionaire taxes just to be there at the Lakers. He has his championship ring.
Yeah.
That's the thing you have to understand. If he goes there, think about the amount of money that the Lakers have to pay him just to offset his taxes.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, he's got a yacht, right outside his house there in Miami.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand you got the ocean in California, but you got 2 of them in Miami,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
He's not going to the Lakers. If the Lakers want success, Tyronn Lue is available.
Yeah.
He has Lakers lineage.
Yeah.
He has 2 championship rings as a player with the Lakers.
Yeah.
How much more can you ask for?
Yeah. And didn't Allen Iverson step over on Big T? He's so important to Allen Iverson. He showed so much respect for Tyronn Lue. He didn't even step on him. He stepped over on Big C. Your thoughts back in the day?
Well, Charlton, that's when the Sixers snuck up for game 1 of the series before the Lakers pulled out the broom.
Yep.
And Tyronn Lue got the last laugh in that.
Yeah.
But when you want a guy who has recent championship pedigree,
Hello, Jenny Bus.
Tyronn Lue is the only coach that's available that has that.
Yeah.
And he has a relationship with LeBron James.
Yeah.
So he knows how to coach LeBron and the players that are around him. If you make it to 3 consecutive championship series, you have to have some knowledge of the game and of the player, Charles.
Do you think Jenny Buss knows that? I know Magic Johnson knew it. I know Magic Johnson wanted to fire Luke Walton. Think about it. Magic Johnson wanted to fire Luke Walton. Jenny Buss didn't want to fire Luke Walton. So Luke gets fired, gets a job before it's even announced he's fired to Sacramento Kings. Tyronn Lue, I don't know if Rodney D-Bucks knows that, but Tyronn Lue's won a championship with LeBron James. They both coached LeBron James. With Tyronn Lue, the Cleveland Cavaliers, Cleveland, this is for you. They won a championship with Tyronn Lue. With Luke Walton, they missed the playoffs. Does Rodney D-Bucks know that, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, any team in the NBA know that, Charlton, that Tyronn Lue has won a championship, 3 consecutive championship rounds, and he's unemployed.
Yeah.
So as an African-American with that type of resume, it's hard to get a job.
Yeah.
If you don't have that type of resume, Charlton, and you're Caucasian as a coach, you're first in line. That's Luke Walton. And people will say, well, Luke fits the Sacramento lineup, which he probably does because they're young and he's a younger coach. But Tyronn Lue is not far removed. When you look around the NBA, And you look at some of the coaching jobs that have been done in the NBA over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Who has succeeded more than Tyronn Lue other than Steve Kerr?
No, especially that doesn't have a job. Life is funny when you read a lot, you learn a lot, and I know he'll get picked up by somebody that wants to win. But if you're just looking for a good old boy to come along, then maybe he won't get picked up. Big C, something out here called the Big C pause. We're going to take a Big C pause and come right back in just a moment. All right, Big C, we're back after the Big C pause again. I want to just thank everybody that's a part of the growth of Big C Sports. We can be heard on the iHeartRadio network worldwide. We can be heard on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts. Also, if you have Xfinity Comcast, you can go to the iHeartRadio Sports app and you can look at the Big C Sports page. So a lot of good things are coming, and we appreciate that. Growth is important, especially on this Easter. And I would like to just say to everybody, Happy Easter. And for those who still have the chance to reach out to somebody, maybe some of your neighbors, don't assume that everybody has someone to bring them a piece of a pecan pie. But there's a commercial that I love. There's a gecko, little green dude, and he's at a restaurant. And this lady, he said to this lady, so could you tell me how would I be able to get a little bit of that nice lemon meringue pie? And she said, pie! And she said, pie's coming. He said, that's how you get it, baby. Have you seen that commercial, Big C? Your thoughts?
Yes, I have. You know, that Geico is quite a character. So when you think about the waitress, Charlton, and that's the type of place you want to go in. And this is not a waitress that weighs 105 pounds.
Right.
This is somebody who sampled the food.
She eat the food.
And, you know, when she raised her voice, the cook listened.
Yeah, that's funny. The gecko was that lemon meringue pie. I want some German chocolate cake for Easter, but everybody loves what they love. I want to just get your thoughts on some of the games that are happening tonight. NBA going into this great Easter weekend. Toronto is at Orlando, and this is a series that obviously you would think on paper Toronto would easily win it. It's all fair in love and war, and you got to win it on the field, Big C, or on the court for NBA basketball. Give me your feeling for what we may see in tonight's game, and it's already underway. Toronto down in Orlando, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, this is a game that Toronto should really go up on Orlando. You know, I think they took them lightly in game one. Well, they should have won game one, but with some bad officiating that we're continuously seeing now on all levels of athletics. Toronto is the better team overall.
Yeah.
And Kawhi Leonard laid down the tempo the last time that they met.
Yeah.
When he came out and scored 14 points in the first quarter to set the tempo for the game, and Toronto never looked back.
Yeah, they never looked back. Boston and Indiana. I know Boston's found their mojo, especially with Kyrie Irving. I didn't see the movie where he played in the movie. I think it was called Uncle Drew. I haven't seen that movie. But if he could play like that in a real game, I think we saw it because he was the reason they won the last game. Give me your feelings when they go to Indiana, one of the louder arenas in the NBA. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Kyrie Irving, in the playoffs, it's time for him to start taking over that leadership role.
Yeah.
And the 37 points that he had in his last outing, Charlton, he's going to need another performance like that. But I think if he can get some of the young guys like Jason Tatum and Rozier to step up, it's going to make it easier on them. Now, you got to recall, they had playoff experience last year, making it to the Eastern Conference Final. So he's going to need a couple sidekicks, and I think Tatum, Brown, Rozier will get the job done in Boston tonight.
Yeah, they're going to have to get that job done, playing that Indiana. Big C, Portland at OKC. This could have been a quick plane flight or a drive up I-5, Portland to Seattle. But, you know, OKC decided to go to a smaller city that had lower population. They had not as many, hardly any water unless you're on a lake. So they left the great Northwest to go to Oklahoma City. They have a nice arena, but Portland goes there with a 2-0 lead. It's nice when you get on the plane and you already got 2 games in your back pocket. Does OKC win tonight? If not, I think it's done. Big C, your thoughts?
I look at OKC and being in panic mode. You know, there's been a lot of pressure on George and Westbrook going into this series that they have to carry and deliver. I think right now it's a little bit too much pressure. When you're looking at where OKC has to come from, they have to win, Charlton, 4 out of 5 games to win this series. I don't think any team right now in the NBA, especially when you're down 0-2, can pull out 4 out of 5 to win a series.
Yeah, that makes it difficult, Big C. So no matter who wins, tonight's games. We still have a couple of weekend games. I want to get your quick thoughts as we go into the great Easter weekend. Philadelphia is going to be at Brooklyn again. Philadelphia turned it on last night. Brooklyn has to find a way to rebound. If not, it's going to be hard for them to go back and win the game in Philadelphia. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, by Philadelphia being able to play small ball last night, just as you talked about Cousins being out at Golden State, that was the same thing that happened in Philadelphia with Embiid being out.
Yeah.
They would be able to play a more up-tempo game. When you look at New Jersey, the Nets, they have a smaller team.
Yeah.
And so they like to push the ball up and down the floor, and that's how they got over on Philadelphia in Game 1.
Yeah.
And Brett Brown, the coach, recognized that. And by having Embiid out of the lineup and having Simmons playing the post, they had a speedier team.
Yep.
And the ball was put on the other side where Philadelphia was the more athletic team.
Well, think about athletic team. You would think it would be Denver going into San Antonio, the more athletic team, but there's something about coaching, Coach Pop, that mystique around San Antonio, and they may have fed him a lot of greasy barbecue down there in Texas, Big C. I think they're going to come out of this series tied at 2 once Coach Pop gets finished teaching, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, when you get down there on the Riverwalk down in San Antonio, some of the great Tex-Mex food in America. I mean, I've gone down there and gained a couple of pounds myself, so I can understand what the Nuggets would be going through when you get down there and they bring those big platters of food out there for you. But, as we talk about Pop and his ability to make adjustments between games and in games, when you don't have a said superstar in your lineup, who do you shut down? Everyone thinks about DeRozan being the leader in the backcourt, but we saw it was different last night, Charlton, when they were able to come out and you're hitting players that you're not expecting to lead the team. That's what happens. You have a big man that's serviceable also in Aldridge. So there's a lot of tangibles about the lineup that you have in San Antonio.
Give me your feeling on Giannis, Milwaukee, going to Detroit, Motown. If they don't drink the water, I think they'll be fine. If they're going into Motown, where they make good music, but they're going to need a lot of good music to get a hold of these Milwaukee Bucks. They seem like a buck that you ever see a buck. I know you've seen bucks because you hunt a lot of those things, Big C. You ever found one that gets more than 2 steps away that you can't catch, Big C? I don't think they can catch those bucks, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, the last buck I saw, Charlton, hit my car, and I'm still a little ticked off at him. The insurance company tried to say I went after him and we ended up settling that in the freezer once we got to the end of the thing.
What a compromise.
But when you look at Detroit, they've been without, their big guy, Griffin. That is hurting their team, Charlton. I mean, you got Drummond in the middle, but Drummond can't run with the big man in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And so that's hurt them. But the thing about Milwaukee, they have such an even scoring kill. Everybody looks at Giannis, knowing that he's a potential MVP. But the team is much deeper than that.
Yeah.
They play one of the twins in the middle, Charlton, that, has really allowed Giannis to take his game to the outside. That's the Lopez twins.
Yep.
And so they have great backcourt. You have Giannis playing the 4 or 5, whatever position you want. If you wanted to play point, he can play that. He is like a large man version of LeBron James when you look at Giannis overall.
Yeah.
Because he can play any position on the court and dominate any position on the court.
Yeah, and let me get your thoughts on just a couple more games coming up for the weekend. Houston at Utah. Utah played the games in Texas with their hands down. I talk a lot about prop betting because my friends that drive the Ferrari and lives in Las Vegas talk to me about it all the time. But he's right. Hopefully they'll put their hands up in Utah. You think they'll even get one game because their coach is too good to allow them to not play good defense. At least in a game, they got to get at least one win. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Quinn Snyder has to find, something that can motivate his team.
Yeah.
I mean, as a coach, it can't be more frustrating than what he's had to go through with his team.
Yeah.
Playing against a team that's lights out right now.
Yeah.
That he has not been able to find an answer for. And, everyone looked at early in the season when they were gauging the Houston Rockets. This is the same team that we saw in the playoffs last year right now because they're healthy.
Yeah.
And remember, up until Chris Paul pulled the hamstring, they had the Golden State Warriors on the rope, had them down 3-2.
Yeah.
And so this is a team right now I think because they're less battle weary on their legs in the playoffs, because players miss so many games throughout the regular season.
Yeah.
And I know we worried about James Harden. Would he be tired once the playoffs started? Charlton, he seemed to got a breath of fresh air, and with the with the triple-double he had the other night in 30 minutes, he seems to be just fine.
Just fine. Let me get your thoughts as we touch on Sunday, Easter Sunday. And it's not blasphemy that NBA is going to play on Easter Sunday. It's just part of the secular world meets religion, Big C, but it's all fair and love and war. Boston, again, to Indiana. We know Boston most likely will, depending on what happens, tonight we'll see what happens. But I want to get your feeling on just one game for Sunday. And because we got Portland at Oklahoma City, Toronto at Orlando, but Golden State at the LA Clippers. I remember what we talked about earlier starting the show. Kevin Durant said, they know who I am. You know who I am. I would hope that Coach Kerr heard that statement loud and clear, because Steph Curry got it. Klay Thompson got it. Draymond Green got it. Iguodala got it. He has to be the high scorer again, because if he's a high scorer, then it frees up Curry and Thompson to do their thing even more so, Big C. Give me your feeling on this might be the 3-1 lead when they leave LA. Your thoughts?
Well, that's what his teammates recognize. They've been wanting for him to step up. Everyone talked about the disgruntledness that Durant had with the Warriors organization early and midway through the season.
Yeah.
And, there was a lot of talk saying that he said he was out of there. Well, the way he played last night, he was out of the world. That's what he was. He wasn't looking at leaving Golden State.
Yeah.
If Kevin Durant had no interest in being in Golden State, he would have not went out, Charlton, and dominated the game like he did last time out.
Oh, yeah.
He wants to set a precedence there that this is the team to be reckoned with in the playoffs. And there's a lot of talk in the media saying, well, Golden State can be had. Well, any team can be had in the NBA.
Yeah.
But where Golden State stands is that they need a leader going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And Kevin Durant told everybody, that's who I am. I'm the leader.
Yeah.
Lean on me. If I can't get you there, then we won't get there.
Yeah.
And so I see him duplicating that performance once again in the next game.
Yeah. I want to bring up something it might be a little insensitive, but, you can Google it. Everything is real. The resurrection of Christ, many people applying that Christ was actually a man of color. And there's scriptures in the Bible that talk about that. And how we know how the Europeans use the N-word to describe people of color. Okay, we know that. You can Google that too, slavery, Jim Crow, etc. Now, and this is something I'm kind of torn about too. In fact, I'm really torn about it. When African-American players use the N-word, okay, towards white players, that's being typically called insensitive, and it warrants penalties and suspensions. Sometimes they use it toward each other all the time. Now, think about this. When, over the years, Caucasian players have used that word, think about Jackie Robinson, we just talked about his birthday recently. When they've used that, they've never gotten suspended, they've never gotten fired, they've never gotten fined. They just got it, hey, let's be nice and let's all do the right thing. So, on every professional and collegiate sport, that's never really cost white players to use that negative word describing African Americans who have the same skin complexion that many historians say Jesus Christ had himself. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, ever since African American players have been allowed to compete against white players in America, that word has been used against them, and it's still used against them in 2019.
Yeah. On
the high school, college, and professional level.
All the time.
And I was offended by Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred and President Joe Torre of the players of the baseball committee.
Yeah.
To suspend this player for using that word. Because he used it back towards a white player, and they're saying that he's being insensitive.
Yeah.
And Joe Torre, when he broke into the major leagues, that was a common used word against black players.
Exactly.
And I imagine he even used it often against black players.
We never know.
And I know he said it even as a manager.
Yeah.
So when Joe Torre takes the steps to suspend a black player for using that terminology against a white player.
Yeah.
And black players use it against each other all the time.
Yeah.
I think baseball's overstepped its bounds.
Yeah.
Because what baseball wants to suspend players for is what they're not doing.
Yeah.
These unwritten rules. I mean, if it's an unwritten rule then you know it's wrong.
Yeah.
When you can beam a player for hitting a home run, he tossed the bat, Anderson did, back to his own dugout, not towards the Kansas City dugout.
Yeah.
He threw it back towards his own dugout.
Yeah.
And if you're not allowed to be able to celebrate in a sport for doing something, you think about in football. We got players celebrating for getting a first down, for getting a sack.
Yeah.
You know, I know you're supposed to celebrate for getting a touchdown, interception. There's not a play now in the NFL that somebody's not celebrating.
Yeah.
You tackle a guy, you start celebrating.
I've seen
you
that
think
too.
about in the NBA, how players are pumping up, yelling at players when they hit a three-point shot, when you get a dunk shot, you get a block shot. And you think about the least active major sport in America where African Americans are involved is baseball. You talked about yesterday the percentage of African Americans going down in baseball.
Like 8%.
And so when you're punished for doing something that you're not harming another player, but this player took intent to harm you, and you're not allowed to protect yourself either physically or verbally. At least in hockey, they let you fight.
Yeah, they let you fight.
But in baseball, this is not allowed. And here it is. You know, as an umpire, as a player, that this guy is going to throw at you.
Oh, yeah.
And baseball has not put a harsh enough penalty in on pitchers and managers that when they beam a fellow baseball player on an opposing team, that it's not discouraged. I think about Tony Conigliaro years ago, Charlton. He was beamed in the eye with a baseball after hitting a home run. His career basically was over after that. He had one good year after that, but he had sight problems, and we didn't have, LASIK surgery back in the 70s when he was beamed. But when you think about the number of athletes who have intentionally been hit with baseballs and why, I always thought that if you're a home run hitter and you hit a home run, that's acceptable in the game. Should you walk out and apologize to the pitcher after hitting a home run?
Taking them deep.
What do fans come to the game to see?
The long ball.
They come to see runs scored.
The
long ball brings players into the lineup. But I think that Major League Baseball with Joe Torre and Rob Manfred got it wrong. You think about how many times that the N-word has been used against African-American players in baseball. Ever since Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. They never suspended a white player for using the N-word. And I know when I was a young man going to baseball games, that word was used. It was used in the stands. And it was used by opposing players on the field. We think about what Russell Westbrook just went through in Utah. Being blasphemy by a fan. And players have never been able to protect themselves, and this has always gone on. As a professional athlete, I had the racial epithets thrown against me from fans, from opposing players, and opposing coaches. None of those people were suspended.
Never got
fined. And people want to say, well, we have to be sensitive socially now. I made this statement the other day, Charlton, during the show. African Americans are on the back burner when it comes to social equality and sensitivity. Everyone else has taken a seat above African Americans at the table. When we talk about the LGBT community, Charlton, they have advanced beyond African Americans as far as social sensitivity in America. And so you think about a culture that's had over 400 years of oppression, and still in the back of the line, it still goes into the sports world, where if you use that N-word against another culture, you're the bad person.
I think when maybe they're trying to overcorrect what they thought was wrong, but you're right. I didn't really think about that. No one was ever chastised, penalized, fined, kicked off a team, lost a job. When Jackie Robinson, that's probably, I hear that doctors say that stress can cause an early death, and I'm sure all the stress he was told to put up with, that guys get fined for it nowadays, but white guys did it with impunity. When you look at the American League standings in baseball in the East, Tampa Bay Rays 14-5 in the Central Division, the Cleveland Indians 11-7. In the West, you have the Houston Astros. That's a good-looking team down in Texas. They are 12-6. In the National League standings in the East, Philadelphia is 11-7. I know they gave Harper all that money, and they're almost playing 500 baseball now. I mean, they're still up 11-7, not a bad record. They're still leading that. The Central Division, you have the Pittsburgh Pirates. They are 10-6. And then you look at the West, the LA Dodgers. Will the Dodgers make it a trifecta for the World Series? Well, they'll get the chance to keep winning the way they've won the National League West for many years. To get back to the World Series after getting rid of Yasiel Puig would be a nice gesture for management, but I would still love to see if someone can challenge the LA Dodgers out west. Give me your feeling on what team you like the most that's leading, Big C, your thoughts.
Well, Charlton, baseball is early. This is a season of streaks when you look at baseball.
Yeah.
At any point a game could go on a 10, 12, 13-game winning streak and change the composition of a division. We haven't seen the best of the Boston Red Sox. We haven't seen the best of the New York Yankees.
No.
We know that just a week ago, the Seattle Mariners had the best record in baseball. Now they've fallen to second place in the West. So this is a long season, 182 games.
Yeah.
It's about staying healthy. The Atlanta Braves won their division last year.
Yeah.
They're still waiting to get into the hunt. So we have to look at baseball, Charlton, when we get into August. That's when it really starts to take place and shape up the divisions when it's hot.
Yeah, when you think about that, the ball troubles more when it's hot. In the American League statistics, just some of them, Tim Anderson for the White Sox, a .422 batting average. With batting for, if you have Trout making $430 million, Machado making $300 million, Harper making $330 million, how much money should Tim Anderson get, Big C, for the White Sox? Your thoughts? Batting .422.
Well, maybe that's why the baseball suspended him, Charlton, for using the N-word.
Yeah.
They looked at it and they said, wow, you're hitting 422 on the season and you're not getting paid and the guys that are making the money are not hitting 300.
Yep.
We got to get you out of the lineup.
Some good old boys know how to do that. Chris Davis for the Oakland Athletics, 10 home runs for the season. I think that's more than Machado and Trout. Big C, your thoughts?
It's more than Machado and Trout. It's more than Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
But you also got to look, the A's just signed him to an extension last week where they gave him some money, Charlton, to play. And so when you think about young players performing and teams locking them up early, giving them those contract extensions, before they get out there to that free agency market, I think the deals with Trout and Bryce Harper
and
that's
Machado
really helped a lot of the young players. Look at the young kid down in Atlanta that they gave the $100 million to after his rookie year. So if you give them the money early because of what the other guys have done, then it makes baseball solid. They're not out there chasing, Charles.
When does $100 million seem like you're being shortchanged, Big C? That's funny. $100 million is like he's shortchanged, but he's still one of the dominant players. I think also Santana for Seattle, 24 RBIs. Marco Gonzalez for the Twins, he has 4 wins. I think about all of the baseball players. They're not thinking about the money now because all the money talk was before the season really got underway. People started swinging the bat. But if you think about, you look at Shane Green, Detroit, he has 9 saves already, and we're still in the month of April, but he's not in the talk of making that kind of money. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they're not in the talk of making that kind of money. When you look at baseball, they're looking for marqueeism, the guys that they hype. And it's not that the players who got the money other than Trout have been better than anybody else. We look at Christian Yelich, in Milwaukee, who was last year's MVP. He's not into that money talk.
No.
So it's about who Major League Baseball wants to make the marqueeism guy on the billboard. Whether he's delivering or not, he looks more like the guy that you want up there, not the guy who's winning.
They got to do the right thing, like Spike Lee said. Over in the National League, Cody Bellinger for the Dodgers, .432 batting average. Now, he must be really peeved off because he's batting more than Machado down in San Diego. He's batting more than Trout in L.A., same city, even though they're in Anaheim. And he's batting more than Harper across the East Coast over in Philadelphia. What is Bellinger thinking, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, just a couple of years ago, he was Rookie of the Year in the National League. And it's been in the World Series back-to-back years. So when you look at that and look at his crosstown rival in what Trout's getting, Charlton, when you think about what first basemen are getting around baseball and where Bellinger is, and here it is, he's delivering at the plate. This is why the guys who got the money this year laid the template for the guys over the next couple of years how much money they're going to make, Charlton.
They're going to make a lot of money. Christian Yelich, Milwaukee, Cody Bellinger, Dodgers, 10 home runs. 27 RBIs for Christian Yelich with Milwaukee. Jake Arrieta, I like him for the Philadelphia Phillies. He's got 3 wins. Joe Musgrave for Pittsburgh has a .81 ERA. When you want to strike somebody out, You strike them out by throwing so hard they can't hit you, and that's what Musgrave is doing with Pittsburgh. .81 ERA. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that means that everybody's looking to get back into the dugout in a hurry. He's not going to let you on base.
Yeah. No, we love it. It's all fair 11 war. I want to get your feeling. I know the NHL, it can't really compete with NBA, but the San Jose Sharks, they staved off the elimination last night versus the Las Vegas Golden Knights, a 5-2 victory. Big C, those Sharks, can Sharks swim in the desert? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they call it sushi, and sometimes they call it scallops when somebody doesn't know what they're eating. But you look at the Las Vegas Golden Knights, Charlton, in their inaugural season, they were able to make it to the Stanley Cup versus the Washington Capitals. Yeah. And, they're in the hunt once again. Right now, they're the favorite by your buddies down in Vegas to make it back to the Stanley Cup out of the Western Division. Yeah. But, there's something to be said about the water in Vegas, I guess, because it makes good ice.
It all comes to Colorado anyway, Big C. Speaking of Colorado, you think about the Carolina Hurricanes beat the Washington Capitals last night 2-1, even up their series at 2 games apiece. But then we go to the Midwest. But at the Mississippi River, there's a McDonald's on right by the arch in the Mississippi River, St. Louis. The St. Louis Blues, they took the lead in their series 3-2 over the Winnipeg Jets last night with a 3-2 victory. You ever seen the arch in St. Louis? They got a McDowell's. I like McDowell's from coming to America more than McDonald's. Big C, your thoughts?
I'm taking that elevator ride to go up and see that magnificent city, Charlton, to be able to scout out some of the great barbecue places that were around the city. Yep. But, when you think about Stanley Cup, and, once again, we may not have a team from Canada in the Stanley Cup, which I think hurts the game overall, is that we cannot get a participant for Canada in the Stanley Cup. And I'm hoping that a team like the Toronto Blue Jays could make it, Charles.
Well, they need to meet my friend down in Las Vegas and understand how to get in on prop betting. He drives a couple of Ferraris, because I think it's got something going on. Think about the St. Louis Arch. When they constructed that thing, they couldn't put it together until the sun heated the atmosphere to a certain temperature, and then the steel or aluminum was able to bend more, and that's when they had the arch connect. That's a little bit of fact known on Big C Sports. Big C, final thoughts. We have Easter coming up. With the NFL draft just 6 days away, there's a huge crop of wide receivers entering the draft. Mississippi has 2 of them. A.J. Brown, he's 6 feet, 226 pounds. They have a linebacker in B.J. Metcalf, 6'3", 228. Give me your feeling on those players getting a high look.
Well, when I came out of college, Charlton, a guy that was 6'3", 228 pounds was considered a tight end. Yeah. Now you think about those guys playing the wideout position. That they have the speed to get separation, get downfield. And you think about a program like Mississippi. Yeah. Everybody knows that people run the ball in the SEC, but have 2 of the top elite wide receivers on a roster that didn't even challenge for the SEC championship is amazing. Yeah,
that's amazing, Big C. Also, when you look at other players that should be highly thought of in this draft, Arizona State, you have Keel Brown. He's 6 feet, 228. There's a Paris Campbell, Ohio State. He's 6 feet, 205. Give me your feeling on those players, because they're more of a household name, you would think, coming from those schools, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, when you look at Campbell coming out of Ohio State, he played with one of the more elite quarterbacks in the country, in Dwayne Haskins. Yeah. So he understands what the pro offense is, and he knows how to be ready for that game. Playing with Haskins, who passed over 5,000 yards at Ohio State, I think that he can make an immediate impact in the NFL.
Yeah, and you also think of Marquise Brown out of Oklahoma being the smallest at 5'9", 166. But, he had the quarterback that threw the ball to him knew how to find him, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I liken Marquise Brown to an Antonio Brown, who just was signed by the Raiders. Yeah. Everyone said, well, he's so diminutive. He's only weighing 166 at 5'9". Yeah. Well, when you look at the rules of the NFL now that does not allow you to beat up wide receivers, you don't have cornerbacks like Mike Haynes and Lester Hayes out there playing anymore. Mel Blount. Those big defensive backs that can get physical on a receiver. Yeah. You can't touch them more than 5 yards past the scrimmage. So a scat receiver like Brown, who can get that inside release and get up the field, he can be very effective in the right offense in the NFL.
Yeah, Ronnie Lott used to bang heads with some of those receivers too. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, from the East Coast to the West Coast, they're going to be like the Oakland Raiders. You think about it. They have, in this year coming up, this season, playing 7 consecutive road games. How do you have 7 consecutive road games if you're an NFL team and they say your health is more important? Guys got to travel more than they can be at home. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I don't know if everybody realizes the commonality between the Raiders and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. John Gruden. John Gruden has affiliation with both of those teams, and both of those teams have a seven-game stretch where they're going to be on the road.
That's incredible.
So you got to look at it as the curse of John Gruden in Oakland as well as in Tampa, that you got to spend 49 days on the road and don't have a home game. So you think about the time, by the time that the Oakland Raiders come back home and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers come back home, Charlton, both of those teams could be out of playoff contention.
Yeah, that's incredible. Upon this beautiful Easter weekend, this Easter holiday, a lot of people are just getting ready for a lot of good things to happen. Hopefully some families can get together. If you can't see people, at least call them and tell them you love them. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, what I'm looking forward to in the sports universe is that everyone stays healthy and give thanks for, this great Easter that's about to come upon us on Sunday.
Yeah.
I miss, as a young man, being able to go out on an Easter egg hunt after going to church. But I miss even more going home and having that great ham dinner that my mother would have prepared. Like so many athletes that we look forward to those days, Charlton, when we were young.
Yeah.
But everyone stay healthy, great competition to all, and look forward to seeing you on Monday.
Sounds very good. And make sure when you eat those Easter eggs that are not 5 weeks old. Big C, we learned that the hard way. You don't have to learn the hard way. Just listen every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide. You can follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, as we always tell you, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage all on their own. As we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.